Okay, now we'll go ahead. Will the recorder please call the roll? First time with no moment of silence beforehand like we usually have.
Counselor Roberts?
Here.
Counselor Stinnett?
Here.
Counselor Savage?
Here.
Counselor Fleck? Here. Counselor Solsby? Here. Counselor Urban?
Here.
Mayor Gallup?
Here. Now I'm pleased to say everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Excellent. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no items to be added to the agenda. Brings us to item 4, appearances of interested citizens for items not on the agenda. This is the time for citizens to comment on items not listed on the agenda for a maximum of 30 minutes. Individual speakers must be recognized by presiding officer, provide their name and address, and will be allowed up to 5 minutes or less with council approval. Comments regarding any matter scheduled for a public hearing may be provided only in that hearing. Comments on agenda items may be taken prior to council's discussion on that item. Council will not engage in any discussion or make any decision based on public comments at this time. However, the council may take the comments under advisement for discussion and action at a further council meeting. We have one person sign up, Mr. Rust at 117 North H Street.
I'm just attending tonight.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to speak on this.
No.
Okay.
No, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 5, public hearing. There is no hearing. Item 6, consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion with a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, brings us to item 7, resolution ordinance. There is none. Item 8 is business from the city council. A request for extraterritorial extension water service at 78518 Kern Boulevard. Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So on July 7th, Public Works Development Director and myself received a request from Bob Dixon and Brad Taylor for water service to be provided to a property located at 78518 Kern Boulevard. This property is outside the city limits, but inside the urban growth boundary. Cottage Grove Municipal Code 18.05 allows for extraterritorial extensions of water and sewer service, and 18.05.050 are the requirements for the approval. The property is within the UGB, but outside the city limits. It's not possible for it to be annexed at this time because there's no, the city limits is not contiguous with the property. There was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home that was built back in 1947. The home sat vacant for several years, and quite frankly, there was blackberries growing over the top of the house when Mr. Taylor and Mr. Dixon bought the house. They're currently working with Lane County to get a building permit. They tore the other property, the other home down, and are currently getting a permit to replace it. The property is 0.24 acres in size, which is too small to legally accommodate an on-site sewer system and a drinking water well under today's state laws. There is a city water main line within 6 feet running parallel to the property in Kern Boulevard, meeting the criteria to receive city water service. I'd also add that when I went through and reviewed the homes in that area, I believe that all the homes in that area except for 2 parcels are served with currently served with city water. So it meets the criteria. So this property meets the criteria under Code 18.05 to be eligible for extraterritorial extension of city water service. The owners have signed the consent annex agreement and will pay the necessary water system development and connection fees upon issuance of the water meter permit. So if there's any questions, it's a recommendation would be council to consider extending an extraterritorial extension to this property.
Mr. Fleck.
Mayor, move that the council approve the extraterritorial extension of water service to the 78 or authorize the city manager to sign the extension.
Second. I have a motion with a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Concerns of council? Anyone? Mr. Stent?
I would like to make an announcement that I recently accepted a position as project manager / interim director of downtown Cottage Grove. That's the merged Main Street program and the Economic and Business Improvement District. I'll be in charge of shepherding the transition of that group. The reauthorization of that group. With the city, I will of course be recusing myself as a councilor from that process. I am incredibly excited to promote downtown Cottage Grove and our progress as we go from working to survive, hopefully to thriving and thinking about a thriving future. I was thrilled to see downtown vibrant and active and full, and a lot of shops packed this weekend. It was beautiful, and I can't wait to make that happen more and more as we go on. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Roberts?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you'll fit right in with that. I know how you really truly feel. I've known you for years.
Thanks a lot.
I know you have a passion for that. I want to thank the board of directors of Bohemian Mining Days, for what they put together with short notice and coming out of the COVID tunnel. I spent part of today before I went to many doctor's appointments talking to businesses on Main Street and how well they did financially because of that. And I really think that helped our downtown having it there. The ore carts were just an incredible thing. And I have a funny feeling that's going to grow into a really big thing for us in the future that'll bring a lot of people to town. So just want to thank Cindy Wilgire, Don Williams, that board of directors for sticking with it coming out of that pandemic tunnel and bringing us still that. Looking forward to getting back to Coiner Park, though. It's a little warm out there on the concrete. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Soulsby?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would love to congratulate BMD for an amazing success, and I would love to keep it in our downtown and grow that, because talking to all the businesses, everyone did so well with it. And usually BMD kind of pulls out the customers from downtown, and this brought them definitely to. Also, one more thing I wanted to ask is make a comment about is I heard that Eugene has pre-approved accessory building dwellings for occupants of 2 people. I would love to see something like that at the Cottage Grove, because I think it would be a great addition for our, in-laws, older family members.
We'll give you a report.
Oh, okay. Great.
Anyone else? Was that it? Anyone else?
I mean, it was really cool with that. I mean, there were restaurants that ran out of food.
Oh,
Yeah, Big Stuff ran out of food. The pizza place ran out of food. That was just great to see.
Yeah, and I'd like to, I'm really glad I'm not on Bohemia Days board, because that's going to be a tough decision on what you do next year, because it seemed to be, from what I heard from businesses, that they were really enjoying it. And the downside was the heat. You get the reflection off the pavement walking around. So there's pros and cons. So they've got some good, interesting topics to discuss on where they go from here. And so that was, it's nice to have that problem. And it was nice to see everybody out and enjoying themselves. And great weekend. And I think that's where I'll just stop. We'll go right into business from city manager.
So the first item I want to make sure is when you do speak, you need to talk into the microphone, because we are feeding and it's hard for them to hear. If you're away, it kind of starts chopping out part of your voice and stuff. So please speak into the microphone so that those watching can hear. I heard bird went like this. So please move it so you can talk into it. Just a couple of items, a whole full list here. BMD, yeah, it was spectacular. We didn't have very many problems at all. We do have some orange paint on the road that we're going to be working out with them. It was supposed to be chalk and it's paint, so we'll be working on trying to get that removed or covered up. But other than that, went really smoothly. We were very pleased with it. We cleaned the streets of the hay. We were supposed to do that this morning, but our street sweeper is not working, so we're waiting for parts to come so we can get that fixed. So we'll be seeing what's going on there. But it was a great opportunity. It was a planning chore because as they started planning, we didn't know what was going to be happening, and we're trying to work, and we had a whole bunch of contingencies. In light of that, and I think it was announced today on the radio that the Rock, Roll, and Rumble is going to be full thing this year on the 21st of August. So we'll be back downtown with the car show and the cruise and everything. So Cameron was planning on just doing the cruise, but he's heard too many people saying, hey, bring the show back. And as a result of BMD, I think he's saying, yep, we're going to do the show. So that'll be exciting. Yeah, I moved it to the 21st because there was something else on the 28th. So, but yeah, look forward to that. Tours this week for the, let's see, this is the Lemonade side. Yeah, the Lemonade Slabtown side. Town side, you get to go first. Tours this week on Thursday, 5:30. Please meet here at City Hall. Wear closed-toed shoes. Don't wear any flowing gowns or things that will get caught in machinery. Be prepared to walk a lot, and so wear comfortable shoes. Dress for the weather because we will be outside, and we will have bus transportation to the wastewater treatment plant and get to do the tours. We will be finished at 7:30. So 2 hours we think is long enough to learn about a sewage treatment plant. And it should be a lot of fun. We will have some treats here to start. So if you just get off work, you're just getting here and haven't had a chance to do anything, we'll have some snacks for people to eat on the way to the sewage treatment plant. You can take it with you if you want to eat it there, whatever. But we'll have some things for people that way. So anything else? No, I think that covers it. So, but important to dress for the weather, what's going on. But yeah. And we do need to dress because we are in a workplace as well. Coming up on Monday next week is the Symphony, 7:30 to 9. They are very excited to be coming. They are looking forward to it. Please pass the word around. There will be a vaccination clinic as well. Lane County is bringing down their mobile vaccination facility. We don't know the times and when they're doing that for sure, what's going on there, but that's going to happen. And we are also still working on, but we'll probably get the announcement out as we get further along this week, probably tomorrow or Wednesday, working out the details, but they are collecting food for Lane County. So it does go to community sharing, but Food for Lane County is bringing some bins down. So if you can come to the Symphony, you can bring some non-perishable food items and put them in the bins, and they'll get passed around in the community. Brought up last week, Friday, about our ODOT money that we got. Just wanted to make sure that that was announced as well. We received a check unexpectedly from Oregon Department of Transportation for $152,000+. This was a lost revenue reimbursement from the state gas tax. So as a result of receiving that check from ODOT, we will not have to borrow and do the interfund loan to pay for the improvements of the Safe Routes to Schools project. So we won't be doing that loan that we put in the budget to do. And then when we get the Safe Routes to Schools money later in the next month or two, that'll go back into the street fund, and we'll be able to use that $152,000 sometime this next spring or later this summer to do some projects in the streets. So we're really excited by that, pleased that the state was sharing that with us and putting that forth. Totally unannounced, and we kind of had to scratch our heads and look at the check and say, what is this for? And it was pretty nondescript and kind of coded, so that we had to figure that out. We are applying for a grant from the Department of Land Conservation and Development, DLCD, to do a affordable housing implementation plan. And because we're applying for that grant, we were going to bring to you tonight on the agenda to set up the committee to look at affordable housing and what's going on with the MUFTI and stuff like that. But as a part of that grant and that plan, we would be doing an evaluation of all our affordable housing stuff. So we wanted to wait and see if we received the grant. We should know by the end of September. If we don't get the grant, then we'll go ahead and create our own committee and move forward. But if we do, then we'll create it as a part of that grant project with the consultant and everything. Also, you may have gotten a notice in your emails that NLC has opened registrations for the Congress of the City Summit. It's a city summit coming up in November 18th through the 20th. It's in Salt Lake City. If any of you would like to come, please talk to the city recorder or send her an email and we'll get you registered and signed up. You have to register in order to get the hotels. So let us move through that for you and do that process, but let her know. You'll fly out probably on the 17th and come back on the 21st. And that's the weekend before Thanksgiving in November. Lane County is looking for applications, and this is kind of important, so I'm kind of putting this out to you as council members, as well as if you can share it with others in the community. They are looking for members to serve on their redistricting committee. They need to have 15 as well as 3 alternates, and so far they only have 6 applications. So this is the committee that will redistrict the boundaries for the commissioners for Lane County. And it's something that we want to make sure we have some say in. So please, if any of you are interested in being on that, let us know and we'll get your name into them. Or if you know of somebody in the community that's interested, because this is really an important thing for us to be a part of. Yeah, so it'll have 15 members and each one of the commissioners will be able to select a member and then the remaining 10 will be selected by the group, I believe. So please, let's get somebody from our area on there for our boundaries for the redistricting there. So. We can find out and we'll ask and see what the on the ADUs with Lane County, we have Jason Bush, our building official. He's contacting Lane County to find out if we can use their plans and put them on as City of Eugene. City of Eugene. I just talked about Lane County. City of Eugene, if we can use their plans and just pull them in as free plans that people could use here so that we could already have them approved and not have to do anything. But because they're City of Eugene's plans and their engineers have signed off on them, you need the codes and everything. So that would be the real slick way just to pull that right in and use it. So great idea they had on doing that. And the 2 plans that are free right now I kind of prefer the gabled roof one rather than the shed roof one, but somebody else might like the shed roof one. But they are a very simple plan and could be really easily used for ADUs. So really good idea. Coming up on the 28th of July is the first coffee on the corner with the Chamber of Commerce. And everyone's invited to this. It's at 8 a.m. at Covered Bridge Brewing Group. And what they're doing is they're having kind of a roundtable discussion to talk about what kind of educational programs or things that they'd want to do in forums from the chamber. So if any of you have ideas or thoughts that might be nice to have, this would be an opportunity to go to this coffee on the corner. And I think they're going to do a couple more of these to gather input, but we'll keep you informed on those others. We have some exciting stuff that's going to be a real challenge and a difficulty for the community. We are doing a major street project on Gateway this week and next week. On the 21st, we will be chip sealing Gateway Boulevard between Main and Harvey. That means for about 15 minutes after they put down the goop that they put the chips into or put on top of the gravel, it won't be drivable. You can't drive on it. So we closed for a short period of time. But on the 26th and 27th, they will be closing Gateway from Main Street to Coop on the 26th, and it will be closed for up to 8 hours, maybe 4 if it's warm like it is now. They will be putting a what's called liquid road on top of the chip seal. So it'll add a whole nother surface of sealer on top of the chip sealing to even further enhance the road surface. But that seal takes up to 4 hours or up to 8 hours if it's kind of cloudy, but we don't expect that. It could take up to 4 hours to dry. So we have been in touch with all the apartment buildings there. They're passing out flyers and getting a hold of their tenants and saying, hey, you cannot even get out. If you don't get out before they start this on the 26th, you will not get out. And they need to park either in the parking lot across the street at the shopping center where they could get out onto Main, or somewhere else around in the area where they could get out. And then on Tuesday, they will be doing from Coop to the Chevron entrance or Harvey. And closing that portion off. That one probably won't impact quite as many people because you can get to the most popular areas first, and you can go around that. But that is happening on the 26th and the 27th. We have some electronic reader boards coming. They're not here yet. Tomorrow morning. That will actually be put out on Gateway as well, advising that on the 26th and 27th it'll be closed. If you go to Banner Bank, they were actually telling their tellers today, their tellers were telling customers, hey, if you need to bank with us on the 26th or 27th, it's going to be closed, or at least the 26th. So please be aware and make those plans as according to. So we're trying to get this out. It will be in the newspaper. It's on our Facebook page. Trying to get it out everywhere.
Quick question: is there a time frame? Is it going to be closed like at 8 a.m.?
They will start at
4
10. So if you get out before 10 o'clock, you'll be okay, but you won't be able to come back before 2.
Okay, and then the crack ceiling on the 21st?
The 21st, the crack ceiling.
The chip sealing, it's supposed to start at 10.
Okay.
And as they go by, it takes about 15 minutes for everything to settle down, and then they'll let people back out. So it's a much quicker process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So are our crews doing this, or did we bid this out?
We're contracting out this.
Is it a local company?
No, I believe they're out of Washington.
Are there no people in the south?
Yeah, I mean, Lane County does it, and I believe that there was one other that we found to get a price quote on, but it's generally we're finding that it's bigger firms that are traveling throughout the Northwest. This firm regularly does Florence. They're doing Springfield this year, Cresswell, us, and a couple other local jurisdictions.
So that'll be good, and it'll give us an opportunity to see how this liquid road performs. That's a new product, and on Gateway will be a really good place to test it on because of the traffic and everything. So we'll see how durable it is, and if it does help lengthen the life of the roads that we can use at other places as well. The only difficulty is it takes a while for it to cure, but hopefully it had a nice durable surface on top. And then lastly, I want to kind of turn some time over to Faye to give us a report on our water issue. We've heard throughout the state, and the governor's issued a water emergency. Other places around the state have issues, but I've asked Faye to kind of gather the information from our water department, and been in touch with the Corps and the reservoirs and monitoring what's going on.
Okay, thank you. So there's been some concern that we're in a extreme drought time right now, and if you've been to our local reservoirs, you'll see that they're nowhere near what they normally are this time of year. In fact, when I got a report on the 23rd, there's another report coming tomorrow, but on the 23rd of June, both reservoirs were at about 60% capacity. To speak specifically to Drina, because Drina is the Route River where we have our intake. On the 23rd, there was 33 cubic feet per minute of water coming into the reservoir, and they were letting out 197 cubic feet. So to let you know, it's going down. They have since reduced the cubic feet per minute that they're releasing down to 100, but still they're letting out 3 times of what's actually coming in. So it's just going to continue to lower throughout the rest of the year until we get back into the rainy season. At this point right now, our water treatment plant's operating as normal. We did have 3 dates in June when we exceeded the 3 million gallons a day. That's generally our highest we generally run it somewhere between 2.5 to 2.75 million gallons a day of production. So during those 3 days where we were in excess of 100 degrees was the days we actually got into the 3 million gallons per day. That is 3/4 of our 4 million gallons that we have currently permitted to use at the facility. So we're well under the maximum amount. We're also well under if the state was to declare a reduction in use based on fish purposes, we would still be lower than actual what we're permitted to take. So we don't predict any type of reduction at this point. But that being said, it would, if folks don't need to use the water, it would be nice that they don't use it. It's kind of a catch-22. We'd also like to have green grass and reduce fire danger in our community too. So, but there's no issue there. You might have heard that earlier on. I believe I did a Friday update regarding this, but there was a chlorine shortage for liquid chlorine for a period of time. But the plant was back up and operational on June 28th. And the levels of chlorine availability within the Northwest have now stabilized, and we have full tanks in good shape in case there was some sort of an issue. But that was a little bit scary because, they were having to truck chlorine up in California to meet our needs and rationing it out. But the state was involved to make sure that all the municipalities and jurisdictions that were in that business were getting chlorine to perform their jobs. We not only have it in water, but we also use chlorine in wastewater too.
When we have blue-green algae issues, last year there before, if the water flows or is that potential for?
Well, actually, so I'm glad you brought that up. So we've been testing for blue-green algae. We're on a list now because Green Lake is declared a blue-green algae reservoir impacted. So each year we start testing. I believe it's in April, and we have to test all summer long throughout the summer for blue-green algae. Our employees go up on a regular basis and look. Interestingly enough, that because the lake is lower, we're not seeing the algae blooms that we've seen in the past. We've been monitoring it, just haven't seen a bloom, where last year at this time we had a significant bloom and we were monitoring it really closely. So at this point we haven't had it. We test weekly for that. If we were to get a positive test on the intake for blue-green algae, then we would start testing daily, and we would take a test from the intake and also the treated water headed to the reservoir, so that we can guarantee or confirm that there's no cytotoxins that go up to the drinking water. Let's see. Yeah, the only thing that's been a challenge for the wastewater treatment plant during this low water period is because the water flow is down. We are receiving, more particulates, more organic matter. Actually, it could be algae, it could be, dirt, various different things that are in the water, and we're treating it and removing everything to its limits. But there still has been a slight taste and odor issue with the water. So crews are working hard to try to balance the flocculant that we use in the treatment process to try to minimize any differences in odor and taste of the water. Is there anything that I didn't touch that you'd like to know more of?
And last item, and this deals with the other end of the water treatment and effluent. One of the things we are working with, our pond is there, and you'll notice if you go by on the connector, there is water in the pond. So we are discharging from the wastewater treatment plant into the effluent pond. But one of the things that we are going to be working on here soon, I think sometime before the end of the summer, is having a fire draw, a fire hydrant, or some kind of source for the fire department and or any other fire department to come along, connect to that, and pull effluent in and use that for firefighting in wildland situations, or to fill tankers or do anything if they need it. So that gives us a whole nother tank of storage for fire protection that we don't have on the regular drinking water. So
we'll put that stuff in the trucks.
oh yeah. The trucks, fire trucks, water in the fire trucks is not drinkable. You can't drink it because they don't clean those tanks. Sometimes they even put stuff in there. And so having effluent isn't an issue because it's cleaner. It's cleaner than the river water, and they'll draw from the river as well. They'll pump out of the river, but this is cleaner than the river too. So
Yeah, so for a short time frame, we can install a pump and fill tankers from the bank of the float pond. But we are trying to locate, install a hydrant down there at the base of it in the line that's going to come down to Trailhead and Bowie Park. So we're in the process of trying to coordinate that. And then also Fire Marshal Mr. Soulsby is communicating to the other agencies that have helicopters that the affluent pond is large enough that they can actually dip their buckets in. So, if we saw something close, we have, right now today there's 8 million gallons in that reservoir. So, it could be significant and help fight fire.
So do we have a plan if this drought continues? If we get another year of flu back for no rain, are we planning to how we're going to deal with that in the future? Do you make plan input up for that?
Well, certainly something that Mr. Kimball, our superintendent for the water treatment plant, discusses with the local agencies in his professional groups, the associations that he's with. So working with the city of Eugene and others in backup treatment plants and various different things like that. He's also monitoring the ability to get approval. There's law changes that have taken place that can allow jurisdictions to get water from the reservoir. So if we were to exhaust our current surface rights, there would be the ability potentially to get water directly from the reservoir. Also looking at, we do have a groundwater well that the city hasn't used for multiple years, looking at possibly seeing what the production availability is there, the quality of the water, and see if it's something that we could use as a backup. So to go to some groundwater use. Also looking at the potential of hydrating the area. So whenever we flush our treatment cells, the membrane plants, we flush them. That water could go back and be injected into the aquifer. That would boost up if we were to use wells. So there's things that we are working on to say if would we be prepared for it. I would be hesitant to say that if something drastic happened this next year that we would be super ready for it, but we're doing our best.
And in addition to that, you've got your legislative things that you've done where you can curtail use and do conservation that way to reduce the amount of use that goes on the system and restrict that. So those coupled with the other potential, and this one sounds not quite so palatable, but it would work, is you take the effluent pond and just bring it over back to the treatment plant and create a closed loop.
We're planning to go some more reservoirs too.
Right.
We're working on that right now. We're trying to perfect the 3 sites that we're working on right now. Hopefully we'll have one purchase completed and be able to start design for the east side of town that would add capacity above our existing reservoirs. And then we're currently working on two sites on the west side that hopefully we could get within the next 5 years some reservoirs over there.
Thank you for all that.
So just to remind you, please come the third night of your tours because that's at the water plant. We can talk more about some of those conservation issues and stuff down there too. That's all.
Okay,
Unless you have more questions.
there's no attorney. And one thing I forgot to report on that's not good news, but just, I think most of you already got the card passed around, but Garland's wife, Darlene, passed away over the weekend. And it's going to be a great loss to his family, and she was a wonderful lady and will be missed dearly. So just keep them in your thoughts. And there's no items removed from the consent agenda. Brings us to item 12, the executive session. And so the City Council for the Cottage Grove will now meet executive session to consult with staff designated to negotiate real property transactions. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.660E, which allows the City Council to meet in executive session to deliberate with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representative of the news media are designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of news media are specifically directed not to report on any deliberations during this executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in executive session. At the end of executive session, we will adjourn the meeting.
I am going to stop recording.